Hello, this is Bobby at Compatibility Repair with a functionality proof today of a power supply board PS-506-PH LJ44-00144A belonging to a customer who returned it back after repair. It was repaired on the 1st of December 2017, made it back to customer, returned back saying it failed seriously. May have been our fault, may have been something else in the TV, there's no way for me to know. This time it had much more massive damage. And before I send it back, I want to make sure that the customer can see that it is working fine and it's producing whatever it needs to produce. This is just the back of the board, making sure so that the customer knows that this is the board that they will be getting. This is the unique original marking, and that short jumper here is something that is unique for the board. The short jumper was there because when pulling one of those capacitors to replace, it damaged the track that provides feedback for the power factor correction circuit. Chances are this is what was messed up the first time by whoever worked on the board here. Chances are this was done later after it came back and we replaced those. I don't really know when we replaced those, whether the first time or the second time it was here. Anyhow, there was more damages to the board. What I'm going to show now is that I'm going to power it and it will be producing VA, VS, 5 volts, no error codes, nothing. To power it, I will pass AC voltage to it, and I wouldn't do it in two separate steps. I just shorted. Normally when you plug in AC to the board, it starts up automatically. It generates all the small voltages out here, and the highest voltage that it outputs is VA on this connector. That is the 60 volt, 63 I believe, that go to the vertical lines of the plasma panel grid, and then the board has to be told to activate the horizontal voltage for the panel. That's called sustained voltage, or VS, and it is the highest voltage being produced by any plasma TV board. VS is about 203 to 207 volts. I don't remember how much exactly. Usually it says it on the back of the panel, and VS is activated by using that pin that's called VS on here. It's called VS on pretty much all power supply boards, and 5 volts are being just sent to it as an indicator. It's a logical go, logical one, meaning yes, I want to turn that on. And when you do that, output voltage VS is output here. There's a little discoloration here on this connector because I was making another video and by mistake shorted VS to ground when measuring it. Luckily, it was after I disconnected, so I'm doing this video again without the spectacular boom because it doesn't look professional when you see when something like that happens. But I'm honest enough to admit it. Okay, so I connected power. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the board on. This little switch we have here. The board will say click, click. 2. Okay, 1 and 2. And this is the first relay. And the second relay, this one activates, bypasses those two resistors which were burned. After the PFC starts up and functions properly, those are bypassed. So at this point we should have everything connected because VS is already signaled to produce everything. So now I will be careful not to short anything. And this is my voltmeter here. We will take VS from, you can see the indicator steadily green, which means no errors. We can take VS from here, testing point. That is VS, and ground can be, let's say, from here. Okay, we have 206 volts. You can see ground I'm getting from the third pin from top, and it's labeled ground underscore SSP there. And VS I'm getting from the testing point on the board for measuring this, and it's 206. Usually that is sufficient for, you know, if any of the other voltages were down, the board has built in, this is the microprocessors that monitors all of them. The board has built-in watchdogs that besides and shut down the board in case any of the monitored voltages is not in line with what it has to be. Let's say standby voltage apparently will be proper. Ground will be the hard one to find without, okay, this is ground. It's actually done for that purpose. So standby will be there, of course, 5 volts, 8.6 volts, whatever that is for. Get the ground here. Alright, got it. 8.6 VA should be here. That could be a tricky one because they're so close to each other. VA to ground, a little more angle. I can make another spectacular boom if I'm not careful. No. Just a little more. I think we got it. There you go, 63 volts VA down here. And that's it. The board is working fine. The last test should be performing under loads. I'm not going to be doing that today. Should be just fine based on experience. Why the hell not? Let's see if we can load that. Ground, VS, ground. No, do I have a smaller one? Maybe this. I can do that. VS, ground. And that should be just fine. Now this is a large load on the VS. That's the most heavy and sensitive. Well, not sensitive. This is the heaviest load that the board gets. The most power gets there. The most juice. Usually when there's a problem, it is where it is. Loading all of them is really harder. I have to restore that, which I just broke. Second pin here. Okay. This is connected. What we can do is stick up the probes on where the wires go for the sustain voltage here and here. Okay, and this board is ready to go with load on the sustain. That is, I don't remember how many, 20 ohms or something. We can check in a second. So connect that, make sure we don't short anything here, and turn on, let's see, the voltage. Okay, push them down nicely. So right now those two are getting warmer and warmer and warmer. The voltage that we measured is on the load itself, and it is holding load with, let's see how many ohms. Let's have that drop a lot, and then we switch to here, and it tells me the load is 150 ohms. Yeah, that's where it will be. Well, that's all. Hope it suffices as a proof.